Whew, that's quite the list to go through. We'll get there. A little bit of water. Hi, and a warm welcome back to Lisa Light. I'm Lisa, and I am a Danish knitter based in Copenhagen. And today I thought that we would definitely take advantage of the fact that I am located in Denmark. I am Danish and in love with knitting and yarn and everything crafty in that sense. I've asked a little bit in the previous videos, and if you're one of those one of the people who found me through one of my former videos, thank you so much. If you're new here, thank you so much. I hope you want to hang around, subscribe to my channel, and maybe leave a comment, give it a like. It really helps my channel out. So what we're going to do today is part one of a small series. It's going to be either 2 or 3 parts. We'll see how much stuff I have to talk about. But today I wanted to help out those of you guys who are planning or wanting to plan a trip where you come by to Copenhagen and maybe want to visit some of the yarn stores. And we have a lot. Let me just tell you, we have a lot. And today, I have 22 knitting stores that we're going to run through. But also, I want to give you a little bit of lay of the land. So don't worry, it's not going to turn into a whole geography lesson of Copenhagen. But I figured if you haven't been here before, it's maybe useful to get an idea of where everything is. So we'll definitely do that. And this is also why you see me in a different location today. I'm actually situated in my office, which is coincidentally in the middle of Copenhagen. And I'm going to be sitting here because I want to show you a bunch of stuff. What I've done is I've put all the information I'm going to show you. I'm going to put it up on the screen as I talk about the different places, different areas. And then I've actually compiled it all into a PDF where there are links to the websites of each of the stores. And the little maps that I show you are also there. Of course, you would need to pull out your own Google Maps or whatever you use when you want to find the exact places and the routes and all of that. But I'm hoping to give you so much of an overview that it's going to be easier for you to figure out where everything is. So in the comment section below, I started out thinking I would put all the links, but I actually felt that that was less useful, to be honest. So since I was already doing the pages to put up on the screen, I just saved it all as a PDF, and I put it on my on a landing page where you can download it if you give me your email. And so it is the beginning of a newsletter that I might be doing more of. Don't worry that I'm going to just flood you with emails, but it makes it possible for me if I do a lot of changes to this PDF, if it grows, gets bigger, whatever, I can send you an updated version at some other point. And who knows, maybe there'll be other interesting stuff. And as any regular newsletter, you can always unsubscribe at any moment if you so wish. So I just figured this was an easier way to do it, to collect instead of just like pounding you with a bazillion links to different stores. It's just less useful. So there's a link in the description below where you can go and access the PDF if that's helpful for you. Also, before we get into it, I want to just mention a couple of, I would say, practical facts when you plan your knitting trip to Copenhagen. One thing you need to be aware of is we have probably different opening hours to a lot of places. And that means when you have the bigger stores in the middle of Copenhagen, they're usually open pretty much every day, except for like holidays, like Easter Sunday, that type of thing. But they're usually open, most of them, and have reasonably long opening hours. When it comes to smaller stores, which is basically most of the yarn stores I'm going to talk to you about, they definitely have less long opening hours, which is because it's usually a couple of people running the store, and work-life balance is a pretty big deal here. So you will find that a lot of the yarn stores will open around 10 in the morning, And this is a general rule. So please do your research before you visit one, so you don't end up looking at a closed door. So usually they will open around 10 on weekdays and close around 5. Sometimes 5:30. Few of them maybe 6, but don't expect them to be open till 7, for example. So it's usually a pretty short window you have in order to visit them, and that's going to be even shorter on Saturdays. It's very common that they will close around 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturdays, and most of them will be closed on Sundays. So that's going to be important when you plan your trip, so you don't like save up the last Sunday and think this is today I'm going to visit all the yarn stores, because that'll be a big disappointment. But that's why I included the links to all the stores. Most of them have websites. Most of them, unfortunately, seems to be in Danish only. But you want to look for I think it's pretty obvious when you see the times on the screen, but it will usually be opening hours, which is called åbningstimer. What do you call it? Åbningstider. I can't even speak my own language now. My brain got confused. Åbningstider. I will put the word on the screen. You don't need to know how to pronounce it, but just so you can recognize it in your in the website if it's not translated into English. But I would check that out before I go there, because it's just annoying to stand there and be all excited and then you can't get in. So that's definitely something I would be sure to investigate before you go, so that's in order. What else? Oh yeah, there's another thing, a word. I know this is not going to turn into a Danish lesson today, but another word that's maybe useful to know is the word for sale. If there's an offer in the, there are 2 words that that will show up on the websites in Danish that could be interesting for you, because it means reduced prices. And one is tilbud, which I'll put the name on the screen again. Tilbud means it's an offer. And then you can also meet the word udsalg. So directly translated, out sale. It just means stuff is reduced and there's usually more than one thing that's on sale. So those 2 words are kind of nice to know. Also, when you walk around and see those words in the stores, usually with a flash type thing on the window, you know that there's something reduced. I know the meaning of that, probably the same everywhere, has kind of lost its meaning. It seems like everybody has some sort of sale all the time. But still, even when it comes to yarn that can be expensive, it's kind of nice to be able to recognize it. Also, one thing I've noticed, a lot of the yarn stores will often have a lot of baskets outside of the stores where they have some things that are on offer. So it might be worth your while just to stop and look at those. Maybe you go for something specific in the stores, but just check out the little bins, baskets outside, because they'll often have some good deals for you that you can check out before you go in. And then that's also, one thing I decided when I was looking at, because it's 22 stores, it's quite a lot, and I don't want to bore you to death. I will talk a little bit about some of the stores, and to be honest, I haven't even been myself to all of the stores because there's so many, and it's not practical. I might actually make an effort to in the future to go and visit each and every single one of them, and maybe create a little section in some of my regular podcast videos where I visit the different stores, because I don't know, it interests me. I think it's kind of interesting. But when I go through the list, I'm not going to tell you what yarns they carry in each of the stores, because that's just going to be dreadful to sit through. So that's why I included the link to the website, where you would usually find a place where you can see the different brands they have. So you can plan according to that if that's important to you. So without further ado, I think we should just shift into me going through this PDF that you're going to get access to. So anyways, the first thing I want to show you here is basically, let me see if I can make this let's see if we can we make it a little bigger? Maybe we can't. What you see on the screen is just an overall map of Copenhagen. And I've done this just to give you an idea. So in here, in the circle in the middle, this is what is called inner city, Indre By. And that's Copenhagen K. We have different letters for the different areas of the Copenhagen city. And inner city is basically the center. This is where you find the main walking street. You find all the beautiful old houses. Not that you can't find them elsewhere, but that's typically where you would often go. It's where you find Tivoli, the amusement park, all this kind of stuff. So that's the place there. And then if you see on the map here, if you can see there's like a blue line out here, those are lakes. And the lakes in Copenhagen is what used to separate the old city back in the day from the rest. So everything out here would be more or less countryside. It's funny to imagine now because it's full of everybody lives out here. But back in the day, the lakes were kind of separating the city from the countryside. So then we have these different, there used to be bridges, so or there are bridges over the lake, different places, and it's actually a beautiful area to take a stroll at. But then we have Copenhagen Ø, which means east. So Copenhagen East. Then we have Copenhagen North. Then we have something called Frederiksberg, which is also, it's like a whole little city by itself in Copenhagen. And then we have Copenhagen West, which is Vesterbro. And then we have Amager, which is the island. If you came by plane, further out, it's not on the map. Further out here is where the airport is. And so I just took a little piece of this with me because it's pretty close to each other. So if you are in the inner city, you can decide whether you want to head out to each of these areas and find the different yarn stores. So I took a little piece of this area with me as well. If I had expanded this map and gone even further out from Copenhagen Center, we would have had a bazillion yarn stores, because you do find a lot of yarn stores in Copenhagen. And I don't think that's just going to be overwhelming. So you can definitely do that research if you buy. For some reason, if your hotel is outside of the city, just go in and Google it and you will probably find something close by. So that's the lay of the land. And then I'm going to go through each of the areas and give you an idea of some of the yarn stores that I identified in the different areas. So the first one is inner city. And you can see I've put a little circle around the different stores that I found. And then I'll just go through each of them. It is probably easier if you take a look at it. I know it's a little small on the screen. I didn't quite plan for that, but it's definitely easier to see the details of exactly where it is. And I put the addresses on each of the different yarn stores, so it's easier to find. But this is usually, if you end up in the city center of Copenhagen, this is basically what is closest by from you. So the first one is called Ulstedet. It's a place that's very close to where a lot of the trains stop and the buses stop. It's not the main train station, but it's a very central place in Copenhagen. It's where one of the walking streets start. Very close by. There's a very, very nice little store. I've been there. This is my own picture of it. I actually bike past it every single day when I go to my office. And they have a lot of Gepard yarn, as far as I remember. Just beautiful store. And I think people are generally pretty happy with this place. So this is definitely one of the places very close by there. I want to mention, this is not a yarn store, but if you are in the center of Copenhagen, it might be worthwhile for you to check this place out. It's a chain that's called Søstrene Grene. And Søstrene Grene means the sisters Grene, which is a name. It actually means branches, but it's a name. So the two sisters, and in fact, it's actually owned by two brothers, just to make it confusing. But this chain is a store with a bunch of stuff. If you're into Danish and Scandinavian design, this whole look and feel for all kinds of stuff for your home, you definitely want to check this place out. But beware, it's dangerous because all the prices are low, and they're kind of awkward prices, like you know, like they're off. It's not like 250, it's 257, for example, which just makes it kind of fun. They've always had these kind of funny prices on their items, and you get sucked into, oh, this is so cheap, let me just get this and this and this. It's kind of like IKEA, and then you end up at the checkout and think, oh my god, how did I buy all this stuff? So anyways, in there they also have yarn. It's not probably the best place to buy yarn, but then again, if it's for a smaller project, it could be kind of fun. But I think for a lot of you who may be interested in a little bit of the design look that we have in Scandinavia, I think it's a good bet for how to go to a place that's not yet so common abroad. I know they opened stores, I think, in England, in Great Britain, in London, at least I know, because I saw a couple of YouTubers trying to pronounce the name of the store, because they've kept the name abroad. But I don't think you have it in the US or in Canada, so I definitely think it's worthwhile visiting. So it's kind of, you walk in at one end, and then you kind of head through, kind of like IKEA style. You go through the whole thing, and then there's a checkout at the other end. They have a lot of DIY stuff at Christmas time. It's chock full of beautiful ornaments and fun stuff, crafts you can do, and then little trinkets and gadgets for the home, for the kitchen, and all this type of stuff. So I usually go there if I'm going someplace, I want to bring a little present of some kind, and I have absolutely no idea what to get people, but I just want to, have to bring something with me. I usually always find something that I find is great. So definitely a place that's worth visiting, even though it's not just a yarn, but they do have some yarn in there. In the store, and this particular store is in the middle of Copenhagen, but you will find them different places in the shopping centers and different places around in the city. You will definitely find them, so just keep an eye out for it. I put the link to the website on the screen, so you can go and find it there. And the other place, this is also a little bit of an oddball when it comes to yarn, but this is called Stuff 2000, which Stuff 2000, stuff means fabric. And this is, as the word says, mainly a fabric store, but they have quite a big section with yarn. And that's actually true for most of the fabric stores you will find in the city. There are others, but this one is also located very close to that station where Ulstedet is also close by. So this could definitely also be a place that's worth visiting. And if you are a sewer, who knows, maybe you can find something interesting in there. Again, it's not my, I think my first knitting project, I bought yarn in this type of store, just located different place in Copenhagen. And I'm not too impressed with the quality of it, so beware, but who knows, maybe you can find some fun stuff in there. So just so you know that it's a possibility. Also, what I didn't mention, actually, I could also say that now, it's actually a fact that even supermarkets, not a very small supermarket, but a decent sized supermarket in Denmark will also carry yarn as just a stable item. And a lot of the smaller ones will once in a while have cheap yarn that they sell, like a weekly type thing. They suddenly have all this yarn, they sell it. Again, quality wise, I have no idea. But just so you know that you can buy yarn a lot of places. You can also buy some knitting supplies in most supermarkets. So it's just, there's a lot of knitters in Denmark, that's for sure. Okay, moving on to the next one in the city, Central City, it's Sommerfuglen. Sommerfugl means butterfly. So it's basically, and I understand it's actually a beautiful name. I feel like for, that feeling you get when you walk into a yarn store and just all these beautiful colors. It's like, I think that's part of why we all love it so much, basically. So this is what they call this store. It's very central. It's usually very busy because it is so central. I actually would say a lot of the yarn stores are busy. There are a lot of people in there roaming around, and you know how sometimes it takes a long time when you want to buy yarn. It's not a fast process because you go back and forth and you compare and you whatnot. So this is usually quite a busy place, but it's smack in the center of Copenhagen. So definitely also worth a visit. So moving on to this next area, Vesterbro, which is the West, Copenhagen West is what it stands for. And I located 3 stores there, 2 of them very close to each other, and then one a little further out. And this one is a little bit, it's actually moving into the next area, Frederiksberg, but it's sort of in the middle. So I put it in this section, I believe, or maybe it'll come in the next one. I can't remember. So the first one is called Samværk. And that's a tongue twister. It's even a word that's a little odd. I think if I just heard the name, I would never have guessed that it had anything to do with knitting and yarn. But what it is you can buy yarn in there. And as far as I could see from the website, you can also participate in different workshops. You can also go there and hang out, buy coffee, knit, and talk to other people. So if you are in this area, it could be kind of a fun place to go and just hang out and maybe meet some Danish knitters or other visiting knitters. So I haven't been myself, but I thought it looked pretty nice on the images. So that's definitely also a place you could consider visiting. And then fairly close by to that is a place called Flid. And Flid is, that means being, what do you call it? It being not just busy, but being, what do you call it? When you're working on something and you're really working on it, you're doing a good job and you're really, you're diligently working on something. That's what the word means. And that's also a pretty little place. So it's pretty close by. So that could also be fun to go there and visit that yarn store. And then I did bring this into this section, but it's on the border of the next area out, which is Frederiksberg. And this is called AC Strik, and Strik means knit. So it's probably somebody's initials, I would think, AC Strik. So that's just so you know, Strik just means knit. So that's kind of easy to decipher. And then let's move into Frederiksberg, because this is also an area where I know there's a store that probably a lot of you would really like to visit. And there's also another very, very popular yarn store in that area. And that's this one, Brun Strik. So again, Brun is a name. It actually kind of spelled the same way as a color brown, but it's not quite. It is a name, Brun Strik. So Brun knit. Probably the name of the owner, I would think, that's given name to the store. It's a big store, and I know it's very popular. I've seen a lot of videos where people visit Copenhagen. A lot of them visit the store because it's still kind of close to the city center, but also it's very big with a lot of stuff in there. And I've just seen people being really excited about the store. So that's definitely a place you could consider visiting. And as far as I remember, they also have a pretty big selection of different brands. Also, the next one, this is another tongue twister. I'm sorry, my language is just crazy, I know. This is Tente, I'll say it slowly, Tente Grøn. Tente Grøn means Aunt Green. There is I don't even know if it's an international story, but there is a story in Denmark about 3 aunts, Tante Grøn, another one who was Aunt Purple and Aunt Brown, I think. So 3 aunts that had different type of color clothes on. So I think that's probably where it comes from. So there's something cute and a little bit old-fashioned, comforting about the name, but I do understand internationally it's pretty hard to pronounce. I think maybe the origin of this store may be in a different part of Denmark. I think actually a city called Odense, where H.C. Andersen was born, the author. Anyways, this place is on Frederiksberg, and I bought stuff online from them. Pretty stuff. So I haven't been myself, but I'm definitely going to visit the store just to see it, because I think it's maybe be one of the cool ones. Yep. And then there's garnkalasset. Garn means yarn. That's fairly easy to decipher, I guess. And kalasset, it's not a word we use a lot in Danish, but it would be the yarn. What would you call it? The yarn hall, the yarn party place, the yarn almost like yarn festivities type thing. So it's like a great place with yarn is what I would translate it to, and that's located on Frederiksberg as well. On some of the links, you will see that I've written Instagram, and there are a couple. 2 or 3, I think, in total of all of the places where they don't have a website. And I figured it was best to take you into their Instagram accounts. So if nothing else, you can send them a message and ask them about the opening hours or anything else if you're in doubt. But there were a few of them. It was only 3, I think. But I've just written Instagram. But when you click the link in the PDF, it'll take you to their Instagram profile. Yep. And then this is a place what I believe a lot of you probably would like to go. I haven't been myself, actually. Actually, I've never knitted anything in Knitting for Olive yet, which is almost weird when I'm Danish, I believe. But yeah, I haven't been, but this is placed further out in Frederiksberg, so probably one of the places the furthest away from the city center. But again, you can easily get around in Copenhagen. I'll get back to that in the next video. But what I've heard from people visiting is some people are excited to see it because it's, of course, only Knitting for Olive. It's all their stuff. On the other hand, it's, there's one of each thing laid out. Some people are complaining it's difficult to reach up and see everything. I can't tell you because I haven't been, but it could be worth a while just to see all the Knitting for Olive in one place where you can go around. And it looks like they have a lot of stuff knitted up so you can see the things combined and see it in like worked up. I think it's so hard sometimes when you look at a ball of yarn and just decipher what is it exactly, what's it going to look like. So I think that could be in itself kind of cool. So that's Knitting for Olive. And then the next area is close to where I live personally, not quite, but close. And this is Nørrebro, another tongue twister. So Copenhagen North. And you can always go back and refer to the original map if you want to see where that's at. And there are only 2 places here that I want to talk about that you can go look at. And let's just jump into them. This is one of my regular places to go when I need some yarn. If I haven't, right now I'm not buying much yarn because I'm working through my stash. But this is called Nicoline Garn. So Nicoline is a name and yarn, and it's placed right next to a store where they sell kids' shoes and boots and stuff like that. So I think it's the same owner. But very, very cute, nice little store. There's so much yarn packed in there. It's definitely one of the places if you can't find exactly the amount you need, definitely ask at the register, because I've tried where I needed something and then they were out digging and they found it for me, even though it looked like it wasn't there. So it's really, really full to the brim of yarn. So definitely take a look around. And they usually have the bins outside with some offers on some of the good quality yarn. So definitely worth a while to take a look at that. So I found actually yarn I was looking for a project. I found the exact yarn out there in the bin and just saved a bunch of money on it. So why not take a look there? And then the other one is also a fun name. It's called Tente Tot. Tot means a strand of hair sticking out. It would usually be like, an odd piece of hair sticking out. And Tente, again, aunt. So that's the name of this little store. And again, I haven't been, but I think you will love this street it's in. It's Nørrebro, this area is one of the really, really cool areas of the city. All the young people want to live here. They love it. It's a very trendy place. They've got a ton of cute little cafes, restaurants, all kinds of stuff. And this particular street, another tongue twister, I'm sorry, Jægersborg, it's called. So it's Hunter's, what do you call it? Hunter's Castle Street, if you translate it. But this particular street is just chock full of the cutest little small independent artistry type places, or a wine store, a little cheese place, just a bunch of cute little places that I think you will find adorable, because you know how it is when you walk on the main walking street of a city, you find all the chain stores that you find everywhere else. You can find your Zara, your H&M, your, all the stuff that's not that exciting, because you can basically find it at home as well. But this particular street, you will definitely find a lot of places that you would never find anywhere else. So for that alone, it could be worth your while to go there. Definitely. Cool. Moving right along, we're now moving to the other side of Copenhagen, out towards the place called Amager. So it's we call it Copenhagen South. So that's what the S stands for. And they're I brought it into it because look at how many yarn stores in one stretch of street. So I'll just point with my mouse here that over here is the center of the city. So it's not that far out, basically. It is a little bit of a walk, or you can take the metro or something else, but there are so many stores out there. And maybe, who knows, if your hotel is out here in this area, go ahead. It would make sense. So what I've found in this area is a bunch of stores. The first one is called Sat Strik, which means delicate knit. So the word sat means delicate. And that's the first place that's on that list. The next one is called Strikkesalon. So the knitting salon, the knitting place, the knitting, a room where you knit, basically. So it's in the same area. Then there's a place called Stitches, and that's actually located inside of a center called Amager Center. So you have these city centers. You have one in Frederiksberg as well, and you also have some in the central Copenhagen, like a mall, where you have this particular yarn store situated. And I think they actually do some workshops in that center once in a while, it seemed like, on their website. So if it's a rainy day, it can happen a lot, I'm afraid, in Copenhagen, and you just want to be indoors, maybe that could be fun to go in there and see and check out what they have. And then there's this one. It's called the Garnkiosken, which means the yarn kiosk, the yarn store, basically, on that main street out on Amager. Another place on the same street, just further out, is called Deluxe Yarn. That's also pretty easy to spot. Looks like a big store. And then we get to the area called Østerbro. So that's this, which is Copenhagen East. I used to live in this area, and there are a few pretty cool places out here that you might want to check out. So the first one is called Søernes Garn. So remember I showed you the lakes, the blue strip that you saw on the map. The Danish word for lake is sø. So Søernes Garn means the lake's yarn. So it's the yarn store by the lake, basically. So it's very close to the lakes. Down, just have to go down a little bit on one of the side streets, and then you find this yarn store. They had a pretty old-fashioned homepage, but they at least they had one, so you can check out the opening hours there. And then going further out, this is called The Wool. That's located also. It's an evening picture that I found of it here. But again, looks like a cute store. And then this one further out on the main street through Østerbro, like Copenhagen East. This is called Garnstuen, which means the yarn living room, basically. So again, making it sound cozy. You can go in there. It sounds nice and cozy. So that's also looks like a pretty decent size yarn store, actually. And then this place, I think is pretty cool. It's called Woolstock, and I think it's a lovely name. It's located in a corner of a pretty busy street, but it's right close to a park, Central Park in Copenhagen. And the idea here is it's actually a pretty big store, and I've been there, and it's a pretty neat place. I really like it. And then you can buy, it's like a little cafe at the same time. And the tables are reserved for people who knit. So you can go and have a cup of coffee, even if you don't knit. But if there's a ton of knitters, they have the right to sit there first because it is made for knitters. And in the store, there's actually sort of like a little balcony, so you can sit up there at little tables. If the weather is nice, you can sit outside, and they have beautiful stuff. I showed in my last video, I can put it up, the link to it. I showed that I started knitting socks from yarn that I bought at that particular store. So I can put up the video if you want to see that. So that's a neat place. So 2 places at least where you can hang out and drink coffee in at the different places. But then again, you can also bring your knit to a bunch of cafes. You will see a lot of people knitting all over the place. So there's nothing wrong about, settling wherever you want with your knits. So don't feel bad about that. I think that's the end of the list, people. I mean, isn't that crazy? I mean, that was a lot of yarn stores. I almost lost my voice in the process, but I hope that this gave you at least a little bit of an overview, the lay of the land of Copenhagen. The next video in the series I'm going to go into some other tips of how to get around, what's the best way to do this and that, and how does it all work. Just little tips on how to make the most out of a knitting trip to Copenhagen. And then we'll see. I'm considering, and maybe you can tell me in the comments, first of all, have you been to Copenhagen and are you planning to go? Let me know. I would love to hear. Are there any other things you would like me to go into? Because my idea for a third video would be, of course, you can find out all the touristy places yourself, but maybe I could help you with some less traditional ideas for what you could do for a visit to Copenhagen. All the cool places that you might not consider by yourself because it's maybe not included in the traditional guidebooks of what to see in Copenhagen. Because it does seem like when I see people visiting Copenhagen, it does seem like they all go to the same places, which is cool. Nothing wrong with that. But there are some places that might be cool for you to know just from an inside perspective. So that could be a third video if you're interested in this little Copenhagen series. I love my city and I love sharing it with you guys. So I hope that this was useful for you. Again, if you want to download the PDF with all the links, go to the link below. I put it in the description, where you can download the PDF and just have it on your phone when you go visit, and you can plan your trip from there. And if there are any changes, I hope I didn't make any mistakes in the PDF, but if I do, or if there are any major changes, new stores popping up, I can include them and just send you a new version in a mail in the future. So that's why I did put it in a PDF. So if this was useful for you, I hope you will consider subscribing. Also, I would love for you to follow me on Instagram. I am trying to be better at posting. I post a lot of project progress on Instagram and would love to connect with you there. The link is always in the description below, so that would be lovely if you want to go join me there. So yeah, with that said, I think I'll leave you here and just hope you have a wonderful day and evening, and that we'll see each other in my next video. Take care.